Yeah,
What I am about to say is a written response to the false information being circulated by cowardly individuals in effort to once again demonize and discredit me as the mayor. They are using misinformation and lies to scare the public. To be clear, I am not spearheading an incentive to disband the police department. The subject at hand emerged from a manpower study requested by a senior officer in the police department.
And I was very,
That, are they muted?
I'm gonna mute everyone.
Yeah, please.
Give me 1 sec, let me unmute this.
You're fine. I can hear, Lise.
The manpower study included a shared service component authorized unanimously by City Council. This is public record on the February 13th meeting, and anyone can access that on the website. I, as the mayor and CEO of the city, our organization, am acting under the direction of council as I have for the past 8 years. Without a business administrator instituted to save the taxpayers' money, it is necessary for me and other people in City Hall to assume administrative functions too numerous to mention, and many other jobs and responsibilities too numerous to mention as a service to the citizens. I do this with no added compensation to my yearly stipend as mayor, which is $3,200. Obviously, an administrative function is setting up meetings. This is quite different than spearheading. Let's review the truth, not the half-truth, quarter truth. Let's just talk about what we know as the facts. Starting with some history, in 2016, after receiving the Atlantic County Prosecutor's report, and this also is public record, the OIC of the police department and I began a targeted and systematic effort to rebuild the Egg Harbor City Police Department with the purpose of making it a premier law enforcement agency in Atlantic County. We submitted a plan to the prosecutor's office, and it was graciously accepted on how we were going to achieve our goals and objectives. Both documents are public record. One major priority was to get staffing up to 16 officers. This allows us to also get grants for hiring other police officers that are paid for by the Safe and Secure grant. This includes 2 SLEO2s. Due to the civil service constraints, turnovers, dropouts from the academy, and other factors, this objective was and still remains a daunting task. Nonetheless, presently, we have 15 sworn PTC officers, 1 targeted to graduate in April, 2 SLEO2s, 2 resource officers in each of our schools, and a part-time public safety director. To date, all of the other recommendations by the prosecutor in 2016 have been completed, and this is also public record. In 2020, the council determined that a part-time safety director was necessary to supervise the rank and file in the police department. Since his appointment, Mark Emmer and I have worked together to identify public safety issues that need to be addressed. On January 28th, as I stated, the letter to the Department of Community Affairs was done to request a manpower study. In the letter, that is also public record, the officer maintained that in 2016, the prosecutor's office was unable to accurately conduct a manpower study, and staffing levels remain problematic, to quote. According to the officer, at the time of the letter, the staffing was 12 PTC officers, 1 full-time SLEO2 officer, 2 SLEO2 officers that were in the academy at that time, and 1 civilian administrative assistant. Further, the officer stated in conclusion of the letter, quote, "It is my contention that even with the budgeted allotted at 15 full-time officers, the citizens of Egg Harbor City would not be receiving the policing that they deserve." As an aside, as we've just heard, the projected salary increase for the department for 2021 is $80,257.29. This number includes contractual increases and for the 15 PTC officers. It also includes hiring 1 new officer. It accounts for the paying 2 SLEO2 officers and 1 part-time public safety director, the equivalent of a 4-cent tax increase. The response from DCA to that officer was a letter to request for the study be sent by the mayor. At the request of that officer, I obliged and sent a letter to note the DCA routinely provides a shared service component with their manpower studies, and they inquired upon receipt of the letter if the city, given our high tax rate, would want this component added to the study. The request to do such must be made by a resolution of City Council, and one was actually provided. And those that voted in the affirmative were Brown, Dash, Heist, Lello, Mays, Ritchie, Sefton, Trithol, and Ross. That resolution authorized me as the mayor to take all necessary, and I'm quoting, take all necessary actions to allow for and support the City of Egg Harbor's participation in this assessment. I did so as directed by the resolution from City Council. When the DCA's report on the department's manpower recommendations, along with the shared service component from one municipality, was disclosed to the council in an executive session, the council chose to take no action. As such, the meeting is not public record at this time and not subject to Oprah request. Moreover, disclosing information dispersed at the meeting is considered an ethics violation. After the meeting, several council members did respond via email that they were interested in seeking out more shared service options other than the one that was presented originally by the DCA. Also, public record, and in fact was Oprah requested by the PBA and provided to them. To note, neither council nor I ever received a PowerPoint presentation via email or otherwise. Only a financial component of the presentation created by our accountant, and this is also public record, was circulated. The spreadsheet shows a $200,000 to $230,000 a year savings from years 2022 to 2024, or approximately a 10 to 11 cent tax decrease if it were to be done. The numbers that were dispersed in the social media or the plan which were apparently released illegally from the executive session, were what the above projections of the shared service component were based on. However, the number of officers purported in the post accounts for only 9 police patrol officers that would have been added to the already existing staff of 60 officers in order to provide adequate service. Further, it does not reflect ranking officers or command staff that would be in place 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Neither is that number a fair representation of the total number of officers in various departments that would be at the service of our community based on that study, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If a shared service was agreed upon with this department, then in actuality, Egg Harbor City would gain almost 70 officers and numerous departments that we could never have. Moreover, critical thinking would dictate that our present officers would have an amazing opportunity for professional growth and promotions that maybe they would never have in a small department like ours. The DCA also guaranteed if the city were to enter into a shared service agreement, all of our officers would have a job. The manpower portion of the study was requested by the senior officer, revealed that we need 9 police officers to answer calls in the city. The results of the study are just that, results of a study. We can do what we want with them. It does not in any way mandate that we drop our force to 9 officers. I personally would never cut our force to 9. It is unrealistic and presents a danger to public safety. Again, with the intent to comply with the council's request, the public safety and I attended a meeting set up by the DCA with Galloway Township, Hamilton, and Mullica representatives to present the possibility and feasibility of sharing services with those neighboring communities as requested by City Council. There were 3 chiefs of police, 1 township administrator, 1 other mayor besides myself, and our public safety director in attendance with 2 DCA presenters. Again, this was an administrative function that I took on behalf of the resolution from City Council. At that meeting, Mullica Township's mayor expressed an enthusiastic interest in investigating shared services with the city. As such, I set up a meeting with her chief, her CFO, Scott Trithall, Joe Ritchie, the public safety director, Mark Emmer, and of course me, to further explore that option. The meeting was last night. And again, this was set up by me as an administrative function in compliance with the resolution. Going forward, when all the other options are investigated and considered by the council, the public will be advised of those options in an open public meeting, and they will be encouraged to give their input. There are no lies, there is no deception. Council then will make an educated decision about sharing services. As the mayor, public safety is and always has been my priority. If City Council decides not to enter into a shared service agreement, you can be sure that I will strive to adequately staff the police department with the goal of obtaining 16 officers, as was my plan from the beginning, and to give the officers the tools they need to do their job, as I have always done over the past 8 years. Contrary to the slanderous accusations that were leveled against me in the last election, I have never cut the police budget, nor have I sought to defund the police department, and no money ever disappeared out of the budget. Jody, would you agree to that? Do you recall any money disappearing out of the budget?
No.
Thank you. In fact, I increased spending by allocating appropriations properly where they were needed. Never were the police ever denied a request for anything. Further, Any money left in the yearly budget that was appropriated by the council went to buy equipment, cars, software, programs, and to make improvements in the station. I have always supported the police department, and anyone who denies this or suggests otherwise is an outright liar. This new hate site started by revenge-seeking cowards in the latest attempt to, once again, degrade me and make the public think that I am a cop hater. Progress made from where we were in 2012 and where we are now is outstanding and quantifiable and verifiable. Progress thus far includes all 26 mandated ACOP, that's Atlantic County Prosecutor's Office, to improve police operations were completed. The rules and the regulations and the manual and SOPs were all updated, included a bulletproof vest wear policy, random drug testing in the police department, critical incident policy, and active shooter policy. Drills are now held at 3 schools. Performance evaluations were implemented each year with a professional development component, meaning our officers receive the training that they need to do their jobs, which they never did before. And employee recognition program was started. We established a new officer training requirements, mandated an FTO program for new police officers, certified EHC officers to complete yearly trainings and recertify their fellow officers, established a yearly training schedule, trained in armor for the station, updated the weapons inventory, revived 2 SLEO2 positions, added 2 school resource officers, increased the staff and rank to now 15 full-time employees. 1 is in the academy, 2 part-time SLEO2s, 2 class 3 officers, 1 at each of the schools, promoted 4 sergeants, 1 lieutenant, and a detective now that we have, 1 administrative assistant, which in 2017 and 2019, and a part-time public safety director in 2020. Updated the department. Break room, sergeant's office, bulletproof glass in the entrance, secure entry to the PD, upgraded jail and evidence room, detective, well, I don't know about that. It was a detective office, public safety director's office. And we also updated the fleet and computer system, decaled 3 Chargers, purchased 3 new SUVs, 1 used Crown Vic, painted and decaled the Crown Vic and Durangos, updated the computers and vehicles and station, added software and programs like Guardian Tracking, Aladtech, Pro Phoenix, purchased AEDs for the vehicles, established and equipped a bike patrol unit, purchased body cameras with grant funding, installed cameras that officers can access from their cell phones on Philadelphia Avenue, increased accountability and communication with the PD among council. In addition to stats, the following reports are regularly generated to City Council: overtime justification, overtime dollars used per pay, event costs report, weekly crime report, cash flow analysis to stay on budget. A representative from the PD is required to report out to City Council at all public meetings. The coalition, we started the Coalition for a Safe Community in Egg Harbor City to help the officers, established Neighborhood Watch, brought the Atlantic County Sheriff's Office for additional patrols. That happened in 2016, along with now in 2020. Brought the Hope One program to the city. As taxpayers, you know that the cost to operate, maintain, and upgrade not only a police department, but additionally 3 schools and city services are significant for a small town like ours. Without shared service options, it is inevitable that taxes will increase each year. Shared services are an option, as another option could be developing a strategic initiative for targeted growth and redevelopment in designated areas permitted by the Pinelands Commission. But that option will come at a cost that many leaders are not willing to pay. The budget forecast for 2021, without adding any unrenewable revenue or cutting services, stands at approximately 12 cents, Jody, did we say? 13 cents almost, per $100 of assessed value. The increase is mainly due to the same culprits: loss or decrease of revenues, contractual increases, increase in the cost of benefits and pension contributions, and increased cost of services. In fact, we just discussed that our solid waste removal is $25,000 more than it was last year. That's over 1 penny to the tax rate. They are not due to increased and frivolous spending, as former council leadership majority was erroneously accused of. Taxes continue to rise under the new majority also. As a council and as a community, we need to explore better and more efficient ways to deliver services and keep taxes stable. This will never be possible if initiatives such as shared services are publicly executed on social media using lies, hatred, disrespect, and slanderous accusations from cowards who hide behind a Facebook page. This shared study was just that, a study. Council votes on what the police department looks like, not me. They can take it or they can leave it. In closing, I would like to invite those individuals, named or not, who continuously perpetrate hate speech and lies against me, the city, and its officials on various social media platforms, to instead put their time and effort into doing more productive and positive things that will attract businesses and people to our great city. It is incredibly sad that those individuals are so unhappy and so miserable that they must just consistently tear others down to get satisfaction in life. Why not just become a part of a proactive solution to our problems? Finally, I would caution the unnamed coward and creator of the latest hater page to reconsider using the Holy Scriptures erroneously to deceive the public. That, in my opinion, is despicable.
Good job, man.